I started off not knowing what digital learning was. So if I didn't do this course, it wouldn't open up another world for me.
Hi, Emily. Thank you for
Hi.
joining us today to share your experience working with the Digital Learning Institute.
That's no problem.
Really appreciate your time and feedback. So, Emily, could you tell us a little bit about you and your role within digital learning?
Yeah, so I've recently only just left university last year. So this February marks the first year of full-time work. And I started learning how to work with digital learning products when I started Meritech as a salesperson. And I shortly realised that sales wasn't really my area because I prefer the more creative side of things. So having knowledge about selling the products made me more invested in how to build the products. And then I began marketing them. And whilst I was on this journey, I was uplifting my skills on digital learning itself. And that's when I was introduced to this course. I did the shortest 6-week course. And once I'd done that, it was really great because DLI came back to me and said, you know, we've got a diploma that's open if you want to do that instead. So I was like, oh yeah, I'd love to, because it was just really great doing the first one. So I started doing that, and I finished it. I think it finishes in March now, and we should get our grades back for that. And it's really good because it's helped me to build my understanding of what we're selling at the moment through our work, but also how I can get involved more with creating the courses.
Brilliant, brilliant. And can you tell me a little bit more about your role in Meritech?
Yeah, so at the moment I do a bit of everything really. So I market the products that we sell, the courses that we sell. I do demonstrations of them, like on Zoom kind of things. I also do some sales sides of it still, but on the side, it's not really a whole. And then I also took part in building a course myself. So after the diploma that I did, I managed to get the free trial from DLI for Articulate 360. So I've been working a lot with that, and I built a course. I've learned how to add users through spreadsheets, things like that, talk to stakeholders, ask them what they want. And I also did a lot of video work, so animated videos, and again, working with stakeholders to see what they would like, all that kind of stuff.
Brilliant. And so before taking the DLI course, had you any experience working in the learning side, or was that predominantly sales and then a transition into the learning once going through the diploma?
Yeah, if I'm honest, I never heard of digital learning courses. When I finished university, I finished with a business management and marketing degree. It was just that I stumbled across Meritech through a graduate scheme, and they said, oh, you know, Meritech's a technology company, and I was like, oh, okay. I'm not good at technology. Like, I thought I was a bit, you know, all this HTML, JPEGs, all that stuff. So I was like, oh my gosh, I know nothing. So when I started, the team was so nice who I worked with, and they just explained everything. And after a few weeks, I just managed to wrap my head around it and found that I actually was quite good with working with technology and getting used to new softwares and things like that. So I think my manager must have seen that and thought, oh, you know, it'd be good if you got on this course to help us actually build these courses. So yeah, it was a fun journey, but I had no experience before I started, no.
Wow, that's incredible. That's fantastic growth. And obviously early getting into digital learning, I know it's quite a vast sector. So was there any sort of challenges that you had come up against? Was there any sort of frustrations, anything that you were finding particularly difficult?
Yeah, I've got to say, I felt very confident on Articulate 360 when I was watching all of the videos on YouTube. And then when it came to actually doing it, I had to keep going back to the videos that the DLI supplied because I was just like so stuck on certain things. And I think after a very stressful week, I was trying to find out how to create a button or something like that. But I managed to pick it up after a week, which to my surprise was actually really helpful because it was very stressful. Just trying to work it all out from the get-go. And no one in the company had used Articulate before, so it was kind of like I was doing it on my own, but it was a good experience. And then I was pleased to say that 2 weeks after I'd finished a whole course that was only like 30 minutes long. So it was a really good way of building my skills around that, to be honest.
Wow, that's brilliant. Well, it seems like you've had a great start to your career coming out of university, landing a graduate scheme, and then getting straight into more learning and further developing your career. What was your drivers for developing your career further?
Well, when I started Meritech, I did explain that I don't like being in the same thing, doing the same role every day. And they were saying, you know, there's something new to do every day, which is what I loved. And then when I came across digital learning, I realized that was very similar. No course is the same. You're always building new things that the software brings out. You can build videos, obviously interactions, just no limit really. And then when I started doing the diploma with GLI, they started talking about VR and AR, and it freaks me out a bit. I'm not going to lie, because the whole other virtual world, but it's just so interesting. So getting into that and finding that, you know, it's not just a digital course, there's so much you can do with it on top of that, as well as everything else that you can do to a digital course. So I just thought, you know, this is something that I'd probably never be bored in. And it's limitless because everyone is going techno now, like, you know, everything's online, and digital courses are just going to continue to grow. So it's definitely got me excited about future careers.
In terms of the areas which it helped improve your life, your career, in what specific areas and by how much?
Everything, if I'm honest. I think being young, you get that automatic, you're good with technology, you do this. So for me, I don't know, I've just never really gotten into it as much as friends or family, and doing this just opened my eyes to a completely new world. And like I said, it is quite a scary one, but it's just so interesting that you can't not continue in it. And just there's so many different parts of it where you can kind of take yourself. So it's good that you have such a broad area to work in when it comes to digital learning. But then with certain things that I've previously studied, so with doing business management, you get accounting or, you know, finance or marketing. And if you grow in them skill areas, then obviously it's always very good and you benefit a lot from it. But being myself, I can't just grow in one area. I have to keep doing different things all the time because I just don't have the patience. So to be able to just have this as a separate thing, but it's such a big thing, it's just really pleasing, to be honest.
That's great. That's great to hear. And how did it support your career in terms of your job role from where you were to your opportunities now?
Yeah, so like I said, when I first started Meritech, that was my first full-time role, and I've only been in it for a year, but I feel like I've experienced quite a lot this year. So from going from sales, this digital learning course that I did, it kind of just took me into a different area of business that I didn't really know about, because I thought once I'm in sales, that's it, I'm in sales. And luckily my manager is just amazing, and he said, you know, we'll train you in sales, but we're not going to keep you there if that's not you. And he quickly realized, you know, you're very marketing, very creative. You know, after you've done this course, we're so impressed that you've managed to build a course in a matter of weeks without using this software before. So it just showed that I can pick up things quite quickly, which helped me to progress onto the diploma, and then obviously helped me to actually look into different jobs in the digital learning sector, which I never ever thought of ever. Because typically in college, you know, people are saying, oh, you need to know what you want to do with your life. And I don't think that's ever true. I don't think you ever know, because there's so many different opportunities that always pop up, just like this one. And like I said, I'd never heard of this before. So to come into it and just enjoy it so much, it's really good.
That's great to hear. That's great to hear. So it helped you transition from a job role, a company that you really enjoyed working with, but weren't really best suited to that job role, and it helped you transition into a job role that was more fitting for your sort of personality and fulfillment. Is that correct?
Definitely, yeah, 100%.
That's great. And what benefits do you think it had to the organization, to Meritech?
Probably a lot, because when I was in sales, I wasn't very confident. I was always very quiet. I just probably keep my ideas to myself, and it just, I think because I just always thought that I wasn't doing very well in that area, I just thought I'd probably stay a bit quiet, lay low. I didn't want to come back 6 months after and be like, yep, still no sales. So I think once I'd got into this, it was such a more comfortable area to work in, something more familiar with myself and my interests. And just being able to develop in a different place brought me so much more confidence, because I thought, you know what, I've just built a course from scratch, or I've just learned all these different words and jargon about technology that I just managed to realize how much it helped me, and how quickly I can learn these things. So bringing that to the table and talking to my team, I'd tell them, oh yeah, I've done this today, done that, and they'd be like, wow, like, how did you do that so quick? So it definitely built my confidence. And then building these courses, I'd given them new ideas about video development, which actually I managed to create an animated video and send it forward to the team and the CEO of the company and just say,
wow,
you don't have any video content. I think this is what you need to do. So now we implement the videos that I make into our courses. We put them on social media, on our website, that I've made trailers. So it's just done magic for me, to be honest.
Wow. So it's actually strategically affected,
yeah,
as well as transactionally on the ground. Wow, that is fantastic. I think anyone listening to this interview would find it very hard to believe that you wouldn't be confident and not have ideas of how much confidence you're radiating about the sector. It's absolutely incredible. So that's great. What does the next 12 months look like? What do you expect in the next 12 months? Obviously, you've worked really hard, not just on the learning, but within the business. And you don't seem like the type of person to start to slow down at this stage. I know you've probably built a good community and friends within the program as well. But what's the next 12 months look like for you?
So, like I said, being productive is one of the main things for me. So my plan for the next 12 months is probably just to continue doing these courses and just educate myself even more, so that I can get to that stage where I'm confident enough to say, yeah, I can apply for a job in this and do it well. I've already been looking at jobs in this area, so that's quite promising for myself as well, because it's nice to think about the future. And I think, yeah, just in the next 12 months, I want just an equally as productive year as last year, to be honest. Just want to make sure I learn something new every day and just keep growing my CV so that it stands out that I have developed these skills for jobs later on.
Fantastic. So it's already helped you on that next stage, but you're looking, okay, how do I then progress my career, my earning potential, your experiences? That's great. And in terms of working with DLI, why did you choose to work with DLI?
Well, my manager has heard really good things about them. So last year when I first started and we got put on the smaller course, which is a 6-week one, he was saying, this company's got really good reputation. They're a really great company that we work with. Like, I think one of my colleagues might have had a similar course with you guys, and she is now building the courses. So he said it would be beneficial if you did this, so then if she's off sick or if she's on holiday, we have cover as well. And obviously it was only 6 weeks, so it didn't take up too much time. And then because I enjoyed it so much, it was just great to excel on something else. And I honestly really appreciated the email that I got that said, we've got a diploma coming up, because I thought, yeah, this is definitely my next step. Like, this is what I want to do. So obviously if the LI came back now and said, oh, you know, we've got a master's coming up, I'm like, yep. You know, it's just really good that they can just tell you this is what we've got. And then it was even better when I started the diploma and they said, oh guys, we've got a new career hub and this is where we're going to post all these jobs for you to have a look at. And it just gives you so much hope, you know, especially in lockdown. I hate to bring it up because I'm trying to forget about it, but it's just being stuck in the same room doing the same thing every day can be very hard. So to have a course that's actually, you know, you're learning something, but you're also getting that hope, you know, this isn't just it, you're not stuck in here forever, you know, there is always growth. And to have such a good team behind me to just encourage me to do all these different things and build my skills, it just really helped.
Yeah, that's great to hear. And I think that sense of community is very valuable as well, especially when you are working from home. Lockdowns, there's a lack of security around jobs, but also to connect and communicate with one another. And I think having that cohort and community around progressing has seemed to really benefit a lot of individuals to collaborate and everyone trying to achieve similar sort of things.
Yeah.
And in terms of the experience of working with DLI, in what areas did you see the most value, and why do you think that was?
I thought that the virtual lessons, the virtual classrooms were really, really good. I did think that the little communities that we had together were great. So if you got stuck on something, you could ask your fellow students. So it's kind of like a classroom environment where you're just like, oh, I don't want to ask the teacher, you know, I'll ask these guys. And you kind of all think, you have a conversation, you're like, well, I've done this is quite similar. So it was really nice to just get that perspective of everyone else. And you learn more that way as well, I think, because if someone sends you something completely different, you think, oh, right, I wonder why they've done it like this. And you kind of bounce off each other, which was great. And then we also had halfway through the virtual classroom, we would also have like an interactive stage where you put your thoughts in there and you discuss it. And then sometimes we'd have a guest speaker on to tell us all about video. It was just really good. It was very different. And I think it was an hour long every time, but it was just more interactive and more exciting. And it was never boring really. So that was one of the main things for me, because you never want to be on a boring course. So yeah, it was really good.
That's been a lot of feedback from some of the students as well, that it's very practical, it's project based, it's not, yeah, you have to allocate some time, but a lot of the time it's actually working towards building something within the business rather than all this theory that's very difficult to apply in a lot of academic courses.
Yeah.
And how likely are you to recommend someone to DLI? And if someone's listening to this interview and they're sort of thinking, you know, should I act, should I not do it? What would your recommendation be? And why should someone act now instead of later?
Yeah. Well, I think, to be honest, if I was to put it into my perspective, I started off not knowing what digital learning was. So if I didn't do this course, it wouldn't open up another world for me, which is a massive, massive thing. And I think it's about 6 months long, this diploma that I've done, 6 or 7 months. And you do a piece of coursework every 2 or 3 weeks. You meet up every 2 weeks. It's like 2 hours of the week. And just for that, and it's not expensive either, just to do that, it doesn't make a difference to your day-to-day work life. It doesn't halt it. So to have that on the side is just a great breakaway from work. It's a really positive thing to do, to know that you're learning something new all the time. And then at the end of it, you can just find something new that you love, which I think is amazing. So I think if you're thinking about doing it or not doing it, definitely do it. Because it's not like this big burden that you have to do work every day. And, you know, it's subtle. And I finished it now, and I felt like I started it 2 weeks ago, but I finished it. So it's just really nice to know that I've got that extra skill and I've got that extra opportunity to take with me wherever I go. So it's really good.
Emily, that is the end of the questions. Thank you so much for sharing your experience of working with DLI. We wish you the best of luck as you progress your career. We'll feed back to our development team that the next steps is the masters, based on Emily's recommendations. So nothing to do with me or Melody. But yeah, jokes aside, really appreciate your time, feedback, and input, and providing us the ability to share this with the wider community and to continue to grow the community so it can be more valuable for everyone. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.